I want to meet the people in blockchain. I want to go to these conferences. I want to like learn and meet. And so for students, providing that same experience has been definitely one of the best parts, that you bring them to a conference and then they get to network, they get to meet people, they get to meet potential co-founders, they get to meet potential employers. If they're working on startups, some of them are working on startups, they can meet potential investors.
Thank you to my sponsor, Cake Wallet, where you can store, send, receive, and exchange your Monero safely on your iOS and Android devices. MetalPay, how banking was meant to be. Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Girl Gone Crypto. I have an awesome guest here today. We've got Erick Pinos, the president of the Blockchain Education Network, and also America's ecosystem lead at Ontology. So Erick, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be on.
I feel like we have seen each other around the cryptoverse for a really long time, first on Steam for a few years, and obviously we see each other around Twitter these days. And so it's great to finally get to meet and, you know, just kind of chat face to face and really get to learn more about what you are up to, because you do so many really cool things in the industry. And so you have a really interesting background in the world of education, which I'm really excited to chat about today as we talk about Ben, the Blockchain Education Network. So you are an MIT graduate, you were part of the MIT Bitcoin Club, and now you're president, obviously, of Ben. So maybe tell us a little bit about that whole journey and why bringing more blockchain education and more of a blockchain presence to higher education is important to you.
Yeah, for sure. And it's great that I'm on here on your show, because I can talk about the Steam side of things too, and how that played a role. So I had gotten started in blockchain in 2014 when I was a sophomore at MIT, and they had just done the MIT Bitcoin airdrop. So this was the MIT Bitcoin Club, which was the two co-founders of the club, which was an MBA student and an undergrad, and then with the help of two faculty advisors, they raised funds from alumni to airdrop $100 worth of Bitcoin to every MIT student.
Wow.
And Bitcoin was $200 at the time. So everyone got $100, everyone got half a Bitcoin. It was half a Bitcoin, every single student, all across campus. And the goal was to, you know, get students to start, you know, wondering, hey, what's this Bitcoin thing? Let me go and check it out. Let me go and start using it. At the same time, the club also started getting, they went to restaurants and merchants on campuses, all across campus, and they got them to start accepting Bitcoin at the same time. So it was a coordinated effort. Give everyone the money, free money to go and spend on pizza and spend at restaurants, and then get the merchants to start accepting Bitcoin. It worked out pretty well. It was really cool. It was a cool experiment. That's how I got started. I was excited. I was like, you know, in my fraternity dorm room, just like, oh, free $100 worth of Bitcoin. Should I cash out? What is this Bitcoin thing? You know, a lot of people cashed out, which was the downside of it. It's like just immediate cashing out into cash. But I think the people that kept it in, they kind of started the initial like cohort of the MIT Bitcoin Club. And then that expanded out into a conference, the MIT Bitcoin Expo, brought in Jeremy Allaire. He gave the first talk. He's the president and CEO at Circle. And so Circle and Coinbase were like the two largest crypto exchanges like back in the day. I mean, not exchanges. There were a lot of exchanges like Mt. Gox and such, but we never brought them in to speak. It was like good. You know, Circle is also based in Boston, so it was very relevant to have them speak. But then we brought in more speakers. We brought in a lot of Bitcoin core developers over at the MIT Digital Currency Initiative. There were a couple of Bitcoin core developers that were working. I actually had a Bitcoin core developer in one of my classes, and I didn't really like think much about it. You know, because I was busy doing virtual reality and augmented reality and AI, and here's a person talking about Bitcoin. I'm like, we have PayPal. I know it seems to work. Like Venmo seems to work. It wasn't until around 2016 that I started learning about Ethereum. And you know, for a lot of people, I think like Ethereum is what made them realize like, oh, there's decentralized computation. There's all this stuff with the world computer. You have smart contracts, programmable logic. For me, what really made it click was actually Steam. So I was telling my friend about Ethereum, and I was telling my friend about Bitcoin, and he said, no, you got to check out Steam. So I'm like, what is this Steam? And because he knows that I'm a writer, I'm a blogger. I wrote for the school's newspaper. I kept the blog on the MIT admissions site. I worked in the admissions office. So I wrote a lot of like articles, a lot of posts. My secret is I'm a liberal arts student at a tech school. That was my MIT secret. Just like I loved writing and drawing and making videos and the creative stuff, while everyone else was like, building and designing rockets. I was the one. Oh, here's what the rocket should look like. Right. Make it look cool. But so he told me about Steam and then told me to check it out. So I created an account. I think it was around the time that you did, because I'm not sure. You were definitely on the platform before I was, and I joined in June 2017.
Oh yeah, that's around when I joined too. It was a little earlier than that, I think, but yeah, kind of mid 17.
Yeah. So I was watching, I was like looking who are the top people, following their stuff, followed your stuff, saw a lot of stuff. All of the upvoting mechanism was what really drew me to it. Like this idea of like capturing value in your votes, capturing value for social media, and tying that to like the proof of stake mechanism that Steam has, or to the mining mechanism. Okay. And I also really liked the back end, that it was the back end and that you could have multiple front ends take the data and show it to you in different ways. So you could have like one platform show it to you in the format of a video. You have another platform that shows it to you in the format of a medium. You have another platform that shows it to you in the format of a Kickstarter. Right? And it's like, this was before Fundition and DTube and like all of these things came out. So it was just like, oh, this is all the potential, the ideas. And then tying that back to Ethereum, right now it clicked. It was like, oh wow, you could have someone build a decentralized identity service on Ethereum, someone else builds a decentralized Uber, and that decentralized Uber can use the decentralized identity service. So they don't need to make their own login system. They could just use this one. And meanwhile, if someone has like, you have your stable coin and your DAI, you can use that as payment in the decentralized Uber. It's just like, there's so much value from these different components talking to each other. So that's the extended version of what really made the things click. So I was like the crazy person in my fraternity going like, Bitcoin, Ethereum, blockchain. And then the next fall, it was, I was actually about to graduate. So instead what I did was I took an extra semester. It changed my whole career to go into blockchain. I went and I did Hack MIT, which is where in 2014, Saya came out of. Saya is the decentralized storage project. So they came out of Hack MIT. So I wanted to like replicate that. I was like, oh, my thing's going to come out of Hack MIT. And I didn't make a thing out of Hack MIT, but I learned Solidity, and I was able on like within the 24 hours, I like learned I really like, I learned it. I gave up because it was really hard. Then I got back into it, and then I did it like all within 24 hours.
Oh wow!
So I learned Solidity. Yeah, and then I used that to get a that experience. I was able to get a position at the MIT Digital Currency Initiative. That was a research position over the fall, and that was working on decentralized renewable energy credits. So Hurricane Maria had just happened, so we were over there doing stuff. And then after that, graduated, worked on NASDAQ for a month doing blockchain. Internship there, then did some crypto investments in VC firm in Game Theory Group, and then joined Ben. I was always a part of Ben, but became the president of Ben. And then I also joined the Ontology Network, where I'm working on decentralized identity.
Exciting. So many, like, I love hearing people's stories of how they got involved in crypto, because it's so unique for each person. And I actually think it's so cool that we both have that commonality of Steam being like the main thing that kind of like clinched it all and like it drew us in.
Yeah, which is, it's the legacy of it, right? Because right now I don't think it's in a very good state, but it's as
we have our memories.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit more about Ben. I mean, you guys are a well-established kind of company and brand within this intersection of blockchain and higher education. You're in 7 different countries, over 500 universities, including like really big names, obviously like MIT, but Berkeley and Duke and Georgia Tech and Harvard. And so maybe just tell us a little bit more about what Ben is, what the mission of it is, and what you guys do.
Sure. I mean, Ben is so interesting. Like I'm just one of the stories that has come out of Ben, but really that's what really draws me back to it. Ben started in 2014 as well. And so that was, it was a network between different blockchain clubs. So we had Jeremy Gardner, he co-founded Augur. He was from the University of Michigan Bitcoin club. They were Bitcoin clubs back then, right? It wasn't even blockchain. Bitcoin was like the main thing. So there's the MIT Bitcoin Club, University of Michigan Bitcoin Club, University of Delaware Bitcoin Club, Penn State Bitcoin Club, and Stanford Bitcoin Group. And Stanford Bitcoin Group had Andy Bromberg from CoinList. So there was like already, people that would go on and found like all these companies from the very beginning. And then from there, right, like the idea was, okay, messenger chat, everyone share good resources with each other. There's very little content online, very good education, very little good education online. So anytime a club did a presentation, made presenter slides, or gave a presentation and recorded it, they would share it with the other clubs. So then eventually that became a Google Doc or a Google Drive where everyone just uploaded all their files. And then as new Bitcoin clubs started, they joined the network. Almost like a few days after Ben started, there was already like all these other clubs that were popping up and joining Ben. And then there was also, it became international pretty quickly too. There's a Ben Italy was set up, and then Ben Canada, right? And then Ben Australia. So it just expanded internationally. And the clubs at those universities got involved with translation and translating the content that was made by Ben USA into the thing, right? Into their own languages. So this is just like growing, and there's like more students joining and like sharing all their resources. Then the ideas that started popping up, like pretty early on, we made a lot of partnerships with conferences and with blockchain conferences because we wanted to bring students to blockchain conferences. Nice. So we partner with conferences, we get free tickets for conferences for students, and then we pay for flights and for Airbnbs for those students to stay at those conferences. So, that was my first experience. My first experience with Ben was right around the time. So when I became the president of the MIT Bitcoin Club, this was the extra semester that I took. I really went all in the extra semester because I'm like, okay, I got one extra semester to really prove that I'm like blockchain. So I did the hackathon. I did the blockchain hackathon. I did a blockchain research position. I became the president of the MIT Bitcoin Club. I organized the MIT Bitcoin Expo. And I did the internship at NASDAQ, which I could only get if I was a student. So I'm like, all right, that should be enough to be able to graduate and say like I'm blockchain. So during that time, I also went down to Miami for the North American Bitcoin Conference because Ben had a partnership with the North American Bitcoin Conference for the past couple of years to get an Airbnb, get the free student tickets. So I stayed in an Airbnb with like 20 other students, and they were all like me. They were all presidents of other blockchain clubs.
That's so
and
cool.
So meeting other presidents of other blockchain clubs, meeting other students, not all of them were presidents, not all of them were leaders. It's not just for the presidents and not just for the leaders, but it's for like any student. So that was really cool, and like meeting them and getting to hear their experiences. So after that, I was like, okay, I really like this network. I really like this intercollegiate network. I don't just want to run the local MIT chapter. I want to be more involved, like up there, like at the the exec team and the HQ. So became the director of operations, then executive director. Now I'm the president, run the network for Ben International, and then we have all the different chapters: Ben USA and Ben Canada, Ben India. We just started Ben Turkey a couple weeks ago.
Wow.
And that already has 6 university blockchain clubs, and they have like these Zoom calls already with like 40, 50 students attending each of these Zoom calls, and the blockchain content is entirely in Turkish.
Wow. That's amazing.
And I go and I show my support, but I don't speak Turkish, so I'm just like, yeah. Oh, I recognize that word. He said blockchain. He said it.
Right. Wow, that's so cool. I love that you guys are helping to bring that kind of education to these universities, because that really is truly important. I mean, I think that these students, anyone who's studying blockchain technology, learning more about digital currencies, especially if they're in more of a tech field or even just a business field, is going to help give them a more competitive advantage as they move into into their careers. And so you guys focus a lot on the clubs and on helping to get students to events. Are there any other components of Ben, or is that kind of, those are the main focuses that you guys have?
I think that's one of the main focuses. I've found, at least in my life, that the positions and the opportunities that have come my way have been by the people I've met, and have always come by me out there and traveling. Right, like before blockchain stuff, I would like grab my friends and we would go to South by Southwest or the Forbes Summit or Tech, like 30 under 30, whatever conference, TechCrunch, Disrupt. We didn't have badges, we just snuck in, just like under the thing. And then the VIP party, same thing, just like there's a rope, like a red rope, you just walk over the red rope, get caught, get kicked out, come back in. But then you meet people in there that leads to internships, and they lead to future connections. So, coming into blockchain was like, okay, same thing. I want to meet the people in blockchain. I want to go to these conferences. I want to learn and meet. And so for students, providing that same experience has been definitely one of the best parts, that you bring them to a conference and then they get to network, they get to meet people, they get to meet potential co-founders, they get to meet potential employers. If they're working on startups, some of them are working on startups, they can meet potential investors. But we also do have an online education component. We do focus a lot on online education. So we teach them online, give them resources, right? Like as I mentioned, anytime someone creates content, they add it to our repo. Previously it was just a Google Drive. Now it's it's like a Wikipedia. It's like a mini Wikipedia that we have on the Ben website. And so anyone can contribute their resources to it. So you have all of the students across the world. We also have professors that are part of the network. We have grad students that are part of the network. They're either contributing their content that they've made already, they're making brand new content, or they're translating content that other people have made to then distribute that into other languages.
So what are you guys working on now? What's kind of coming next for Ben, and what's on the roadmap for you guys?
So the main thing that's coming up next for us is, there's a big wrench in a lot of our plans because of all the conferences being canceled sequentially. So we have to think a lot, and also all of the clubs, everyone being sent home. True. So none of the clubs meeting on campus either. So what was left for us, we had online events, we had online education. So we try to make it more interesting than just we got an event every other week or so. So what we did was, I think there's two big main initiatives that we're really proud of right now. One is the wiki, because that's very new, that we just converted from the Google Drive over to the wiki. So now anyone can go create an account, contribute. So that makes it much cooler for coordination across students to contribute content, translate each other's content. And we have a research page on the wiki where grad students can actually link to their research papers that they've written. So that's something that they really care about. It's like, I did this whole research thesis and I just gave a presentation on it, and there were like maybe 50 people in the audience. But now if you put it in this wiki, right, it gets much more exposure. So you get to see a lot more people get to see it. The other exciting one is that we just took the newsletter and we decentralized the newsletter too. So now the newsletter is run by students. So students, like a school newspaper, like a student-run newspaper. So students can submit editorials, submit articles. The events is managed by one student. The new content is managed by another student. There's like partnership announcements. We do features, so we're featuring different students and we're doing interviews with them. I mean, the students are they're interviewing each other, right? So they're interviewing each other and then putting out, I interview you, now you interview me. That gives us 2 articles that we get to put up there. So, the main reason is so that I would do less work, because it's a lot of work running the whole thing. But the side reason is because decentralization. So it gives students more of an opportunity, because there's so many voices, so many stories of Ben, that we want to feature them all, right? And so we want to capture those stories and push them out. The new one that we're working on right now, we're about to publish this one, is there's 5 students from Ben, India that we flew to the MIT Bitcoin Expo in 2018 and in 2020.
Wow.
And in 2018, when we first flew them, we paid for their flights, we paid for their housing, we even got their visas too. That was very difficult. I had to write letters to the U.S. consulate in India. And I had to sign them with like an official seal, which means I had to make an official seal. Like, this is my official seal. I am Erick. That was the most official I've ever felt, because I'm writing letters to the prime minister. Not the prime. It probably, I don't know if it went through the prime minister's desk, but it definitely went through like, all those government desks, and they're like, what is this blockchain thing? Like, just, so it was quite the experience. But we were able to do it because we had connections that worked in the Indian government. The previous partner that we were working with to get those visas, they were one of the largest exchanges in India before they got shut down, because all of the exchanges in India got shut down in 2018. It was like a restart. So they couldn't get the visas. They were like, we can't get the visas. And this was like a week before the conference. It was like, we already paid for the flights, we already paid for the stay, got to get them to come. So we were able to get the visas through the connections that we had. So it was like, wow, like this is incredible what Ben is able to do. Like what the students are able to do outmatches what some of these, like, the industry is able to do.
That's amazing. I think that it's so cool that you're giving these students so many opportunities to not only attend events and network, but to have some experience, to have some leadership capabilities, in the sense that, you even just talked about now with decentralizing the paper, and how now they're able to have written an article, and they're able to say they've been interviewed in this article, and like, it's all just great resume building things that you're offering these opportunities to these students. So I just think it's what you guys are doing at Ben is so cool. I've been a really big fan of what you guys have been doing for a long time, just kind of like watching from the sidelines. And so it's great to finally get to like not only meet you and get to chat, but really get to hear more and like dive a little deeper on Ben and what you guys are doing. And so before we go, I just wanted to quickly ask you about Ontology, because like we mentioned in the beginning, you're the America's ecosystem lead at Ontology. And so give us a high-level overview of what Ontology is and what you guys are building over there.
Yeah, for sure. So at Ontology Network, we're working on, which is something I'm really excited about. I was always really excited about the aspects of blockchain beyond just finance. And I think there's a lot of attention on that, especially right now with all the decentralized finance movement, everything that's happening. I think that's great. I think it came from Ben, this idea that a lot of people that come to me ask a couple of things. There's like, one is like, okay, is it all just trading? Like, is it just trading and then you make money off of it? Or like, what's blockchain good for? Right. So it's like, trying to push those use cases. So being able, so Ontology, what we work on, we focus a lot on enterprise blockchain. And so supply chain, we focus on notarization, we focus on decentralized identity. And one of those components is decentralized certificates, right? Like decentralized proving that you went to a school, academic certificates, employment certificates.
Right.
It fits really well because a lot of students that come to us are interested in that sort of thing, and they're interested in working on more, blockchaining more things than just finance and tokens. They want to decentralize identity, decentralize data management. Those are the kinds of things that we work on. So we have a lot of partners. We have a lot of university partners. Ontology has a lot of university partners that we work with. We have a lot of enterprise partners that we deploy these solutions with. Right now, what we're working on is we've started collaborations with a bunch of the different blockchain projects, like the other layer 1 blockchain projects, and we're building out a cross-chain decentralized identity solution. And so that works with Polkadot, with Celo, and with Ethereum, and with the Ontology chain. So the idea behind that is you can pull the data, like your data that you own on each of these chains, and for some kind of useful analysis. So for example, you can pull your total net worth and total debts across all the different chains and create a decentralized credit score, which you can then use for these new credit delegation apps that are coming out. So like I'm really close with Av, and I really enjoy what Av is doing. And when they came out with credit delegation, are you familiar with the credit delegation, how that works?
No, actually.
So the credit delegation it's right now all of the DeFi is collateralized. So you have to put in more than you already have. You have to put in what you own, and then you could take out a percentage of it.
Right.
And then if you don't give it back, they take it away as collateral, right? But if we want DeFi to mature, we kind of have to go back to the way things were, where it's reputation based. Like, the point of a loan is that I have to take out money that I don't already have to then go and do something useful with it.
Right.
But if I already have that money to put in the collateral, why do I need the loan? It's only for exposure, which is like a trading thing.
Right.
So being able to do regular loans, which you can't do if you don't know who people are. And KYCing is kind of a big issue, right? So like, what's the next best thing? Can we do decentralized credit scores? Can you have someone's reputation where maybe you can't tell who they are, but you can socially identify them, or you can tell like how trustworthy they are in being able to give the money back based off of their previous debts, their previous liquidations, their net worth. And so that's just a whole new thing right now happening across the space, the credit delegation and the decentralized credit scores. So we're excited to be building a solution to help that, and to help with creating those scores and giving people that.
Oh, that's really exciting. I haven't done a ton of research on Ontology before this, but I'm definitely going to have to dig a little bit deeper. Maybe I'll have to have you on again sometime so we can dive even deeper into that side of things, because you just said a lot of interesting things that I want to go research a little more on. But Erick, thank you so much for coming on the show. It has been just great to chat with you and to get to finally meet face to face and hang out. Hopefully conferences will kick up again at some point and we'll be able to actually hang out for real face to face. But
yeah, we need a New York bull run consensus, like consensus 2018. That was quite the high. Miami 2018 was the peak of the bull run. That was the most egregious conference I've ever been to. We
I've
need more
heard
of that.
stories of that one. I wasn't there, but I've heard the stories. Awesome, Eric. Well, thank you again so much. Where can people go to connect with you online and to learn more about Ben?
Yeah, well, so I'm on Twitter. You can go to me at Erick Pinos on Twitter. For Ben, you can go to blockchainedu.org. That one's pretty simple. For Ontology, also, you can go to ont.io.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Eric, so much.
Thank you.